Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Matt here from Chill TCG. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Grand Finals match from Chill Series number 31. 308 player PTCGO tournament, I believe, which wrapped up yesterday. We have Koichi Kimura making his second straight final appearance. He was in last week's Grand Finals, and he's playing against Avarin Jr. here. Koichi's actually playing a really awesome list. He's playing Victini VMAX with the new Rapid Strike V, very unique deck list, a deck that we haven't really seen much of. Because that card is relatively new, but that matchup and that kind of pairing between those two cards is actually quite awesome. And he's going against Avarin Jr., who is playing Eternatus VMAX. Now, of course, you know, the format hasn't been too kind to Rapid Strike Urshifu, and that's kind of one reason why Etern is, again, one of the most, successful decks in our format, or at least it has been for the last week or so. So we have Victini VMAX with the Rapidash versus Eternatus VMAX. Best of 3 set here. It's going to be phenomenal. Both players played really well throughout the entire tournament to make it to Grand Finals. This week was also pretty special because we had a gold quick ball right on the line, to our first place prize. Second place gets like 60 packs of battle styles, so not, terrible compensation for making second, but, both players definitely are looking to get that gold quick ball. I believe Avarin Jr. here is going first, and he's going with Etern, so he does get the W Veltal double Etern on the board, and he's going to go ahead and Crobat for 4. Does find the Dark Energy, and he's going to attach to the benched Eternatus V. Now, Koichi here. Koichi actually has a Quick Ball in hand, and a Pokecom with that Rapidash V. A couple energies as well, so what he's going to want to do probably is get that Victini V set up, and he's going to want to, hopefully find a Welder, although not extremely necessary. The problem here with going first, if you're Koichi, is that next turn, this Eldegoss is most likely going to get KO'd right in the active spot. That's just something that you kind of have to assume. All, Avarin Jr. there needs is just going to be a couple, he needs a switch, so he needs to get out of the active spot. He needs a couple more Pokemon on his board, and he needs a VMAX and an Energy, but this is Eternatus VMAX we're talking about. It happens a lot more than you might think, so that Eldegoss V in the active spot, definitely not safe. And if it is going to get KO'd next turn, that's going to be very, very bad for Koichi, because, these decks have very similar playstyles, at least in this matchup. Both players are going to want to just set up their respective Pokemon, and they're going to want to just go ahead and get those first 2 KOs on some VMAX Pokemon. That's typically the way that these matchups are going to go. Victini VMAX and Etern, I mean, very different Pokemon by nature, but in this matchup, they basically do the same thing, where they both just hit, in 2-hit KO each other's VMAX. So that's, obviously Etern does have the capability to one-shot Victini. It's got more HP, Victini has less HP, so, with 4 Zigzagoon pings, Etern's 270 can one-shot a Victini. That's not typically going to happen very often, but I guess that is a scenario. So I guess Etern does somewhat have the advantage there, but for the most part, both decks are really just going to go ahead and try to one-shot or two-shot each other's VMAX. But we actually see that Koichi is getting the 2 energies on the Rapidash. Now, for those of you who don't know what Rapidash does, it's in this deck mainly for that first attack. Now, that first attack there, Libra Horn, it's going to be really cool because what it does is it puts damage counters on any Pokemon until it has 100 HP remaining. So, as we can see there, that Eternatus VMAX has 220 HP, so it just immediately, gets put down to 100 HP, right? It does 120 damage counters. Now, if that was Eternatus VMAX, that attack would do 240 damage counters, right? So, it's a very useful attack. Very good because Victini VMAX does 100 damage base, right? Just for 2 energies, and then it does the extra 120 if it's on a V or a VMAX Pokemon. But this Libra Horn attack on Rapidash V has very, very good synergy with Victini, especially since it takes only 2 colorless, so it goes very well in Welder decks. We see that the Marty comes out, and Koichi did have Welder in hand, and I believe a VMAX, or he didn't have Welder, but he had VMAX. But now, he has a Boss's Orders, a Giant Hearth, Switch, and a Pokecom, so he is probably going to be able to switch in to the Jirachi here. However, this Rapidash probably isn't very safe in the active spot. It is weak to Dark, but not that Eternatus VMAX struggles to hit for 210 anyway. But yeah, I mean, this Rapidash V, if it stays alive this turn, that's going to be a huge advantage for Koichi, but, definitely kind of got to be a little bit worried. We see 2 Crushing Hammers comes out for Etern, so this is Etern Hammers, and the first one misses, but the second one does hit, and that's going to be just 1 energy in the discard pile. Nothing too crazy. Again, Rapidash V only takes 2 energies. Victini VMAX only takes 2 energies. We also have Spreading Flames. Now, this Rapidash actually lives this turn, which is actually phenomenal. So, Koichi did get some nice damage off last turn, whereas, Avarin Jr. here just doesn't really, you know, have... I mean, next turn he might be able to set up for a KO, right? And another thing to mention, excuse me, is that Victini VMAX does 220 to a V Pokemon, and now that Eternatus VMAX does 120 HP onto it, if you do that math, that's a perfect 340. So, you know, that Rapidash V can really come in handy. Sets up one-hit KOs even before they evolve, or, you know what I mean, it sets up a KO for Victini even after, or even before the Eternatus evolves. So that's going to be really, really good. We're going to see that he does Stellar Wish there. I'm not sure exactly what he grabbed. I think it was the Quick Ball. And he's going to go ahead and switch into the Eldegoss, so he could potentially free retreat into something of use here. And we're going to see the Dedenne come out. Instead of just calming for, I believe, a Crobat, which is in his deck, we're going to see him just put down the Dedenne. But he finds one energy, but no Welder. And that's going to be a little bit annoying for him because he knows that he's not going to be able to actually start taking KOs. And one interesting thing to note, too, which might come into play with this matchup, is Victini VMAX actually only does 100 damage if it's not a V Pokemon. So that Yveltal with 110 HP is actually safe from a Victini VMAX, which is kind of crazy to think about. It really is. But you know, that definitely could come into play at some point today. But we're going to just see another retreat from this Rapidash V, or into the Rapidash V, and he's going to go ahead and just put 240 on that E-turn. So spreading a lot of damage throughout Avarin Jr.'s board, and both of those Eternatuses will get KO'd by a Victini VMAX. So, you know, that's just going to be really interesting to note. We do see the Marnie come out. So Koichi's having a little bit of an issue trying to find those Welders and get some quality energy acceleration. And now we see that we have a Crobat V, we have a Switch, we have another Jirachi, which is actually not that bad considering how this Rapidash is most likely 100% going to get KO'd by this Eternatus. So what Koichi here needs is he needs to find a stadium, because that power play is now in play here. And he's going to definitely, you know, want to find that Giant Hearth and find Welder. He needs 2 energies on this Victini, pretty much, so that he can get a KO on this E-turn. And then he's pretty much, I think, ahead of the game here. The problem kind of is putting down this Crobat at this point is, yes, you only kind of draw 2 cards, but then you kind of fill up your bench space, so you can't actually preemptively set up another Victini VMAX. So that's just something to keep in mind. But that Victini VMAX should be kind of safe, actually, from getting one-hit KO'd from an E-turn. So that's just, you know, that's just it. Interestingly enough, we do find the Welder, but no energy, and we do find the Giant Hearth, but, you know, of course, no access to Welder, so you kind of have to choose between the 2 of them. Grabbing this Giant Hearth is going to be good. It definitely is, but, you know, just kind of allowing Avarin Jr. to take even 1 prize card this next turn for him is actually going to be really bad, because then, you know, it just becomes a battle of you know, Koichi needs to take multiple prize cards, right? He needs to take multiple KOs. He needs to KO this both of these E-turns, which he can do with 1 attack. But now that he's not taking any prize cards this turn, Avarin Jr. is going to be able to just hit into this Victini. Even if it gets KO'd next turn, all he needs is an energy pretty much to win the game. So, you know, an unfortunate turn for Koichi for sure. Even though he did get some really nice damage on the board with Rapidash, I just wasn't able to set up this Victini when he needed to get, you know, a KO this turn. If he KO'd that E-turn this turn, I mean, the game pretty much would have been much easier to win. But unfortunately, just didn't happen. And I think that Avarin Jr. does have a really big advantage right now in this game. We're going to see a Pokémon away at E-turn VMAX. Could be just grabbing a Crobat here. I'm going to draw a quick 5 cards. Yeah, for sure. So I think what he's looking for is an energy. And he's actually going to boss, which is interesting. So he's probably going for like the double boss strategy. He's going to just KO this Dedenne, draw a fresh 6 cards. So he probably knows that he's got another boss left in his deck. He splits the E-turn's energy, which means he probably has an extra 1 in hand. We see the Hammerheads come down, knocks off the energy on the Victini. Not a big deal for Koichi, but overall this turn is going to be very, very good. And we actually see him Palpad back in both bosses' orders, which is going to be phenomenal for Avarin Jr. because right now that is going to be his strategy throughout this game. He's hoping, you know, I can KO this this Victini, or sorry, this Dedenne, take 2 prize cards. His bench is full, so it's going to be hard for him to actually draw more cards with another Crobat, but what he will be able to do here is take a prize card this turn, and then if Koichi KOs his E-turn this turn, he has a bench space to play another Crobat. So that's probably his plan. An interesting game plan for Avarin Jr. I'm not sure if just attacking into the Victini was a worse play there. It might have been, though, because I believe he had 4 prize cards remaining, so that didn't really work out for him. I kind of had to almost go for those 2 prize Pokemon and hope that he draws in a boss here in the next few turns. But Koichi, rather, he's just taking the KO on this E-turn, and he knows that this Victini is most likely safe. And all Symphogear needs this turn is boss's orders. So it kind of comes down to whether if either player has boss. You know, that's really what this game comes down to. We're going to see him switch into the C turn, and Avarin Jr., he's just got boss's orders in his 2-card hand. So very unfortunate for Koichi, but that's going to be game 1. And, you know, both players kind of playing to their respective outs. A little bit of an unfortunate game for Koichi, but we're going to go into game 2 with Avarin Jr. up 1-0 and see if Koichi can't come back. All right, here we go into game number 2. Of course, Avarin Jr. up 1-0. But Symphogear here, now he's going to have the choice whether he wants to go first or second. Unlike other Welder decks, Victini, especially in this matchup, probably wants to go first. There are Crushing Hammers, but it is important to be able to get that attack off turn 2, whether it's with Rapidash, or your first turn going second. Whether that's Rapidash or that is Victini, you know, you're able to play a supporter going second, and both of these Pokemon are able to attack as long as they, of course, have a supporter Welder to get the energies done. Starting with Jirachi is actually pretty good. Definitely one of your best starting options, I would say. And we also have a Quick Ball to search for that Victini, so it's going to be a pretty nice hand here. We also have another Quick Ball, so that's pretty cool. And a Pokémon, so he's going to be able to find exactly kind of what he needs this turn, but no Welder. And he actually chooses to go first. Yeah, which I think I was confused. Yeah, I must have confused myself there in a second, because going first is better, because neither player can consistently actually attack on their first turn going second, right? So you want to be the one to get that attack off first. And I think that going first is a better option, because then we can just play down to Victini manually attach. And with Symphogear's Koichi's hand right now, almost guaranteed, right, that he's going to be able to attack next turn. Starting with the Yveltal, though, for Avarin Jr., which means that technically it's safe from getting KO'd by a Victini VMAX. We actually see Victini just switch in. He Scoop Up Nets the Jirachi now, so now he's going to just go right back into Jirachi. He's going to utilize that second Stellar Wish this turn. And looks like a boss's orders might be the play for him. And I actually kind of like that. I really do, because no matter what you top deck, you're going to be able to go into Victini VMAX, get a second energy on, and now with boss's orders, you kind of have pressure to either force Avarin Jr. to Marnie next turn, or you kind of put on that pressure where if he does bench that Eternatus V, it's in jeopardy of getting KO'd by a Victini VMAX next turn. So this is, again, another big reason why going first is so good in this matchup. You kind of can put that pressure on before your opponent can, and that's a lot of times what makes the difference in this matchup for sure. We see the Great Ball come out from Avarin Jr., finds the Zigzagoon. So if he finds 4 of those and gets them all, pinging the Victini, that could be a really big deal in this matchup. I'm not sure if Avarin Jr. actually, runs for Zigzagoon, but I mean, either way, we see him Quick Ball away boss's orders, which is definitely interesting. He's got that gold Quick Ball, which again is the prize for first place. So maybe Avarin Jr. is looking for some more Quick Balls. He does grab the Eternatus V, so like I said, he actually benches 2 of them, which is going to be very good for him. Which means that no matter what, he should be able to get at least 1 E-turn VMAX down on the board next turn, so that's important. But the thing is, Koichi's going to be able to KO the one with energy, so a Power Accelerator could be very good for Avarin Jr., but that kind of doesn't. That means that Koichi doesn't even need to actually play boss's orders. So we see the Power Accelerator come out, and does he have that energy in hand? He does, actually, so that was pretty preferable for Avarin Jr. I'm going to kind of put him back in the game, in a sense. Now all we need from Koichi is a switch card, right? We just need a way to switch out of this active with Jirachi. Going to be super possible. We have a Quick Ball for some more supporters. We just draw right into the Victini VMAX there, which is always really good, and we get rid of that power plant. So we're going to potentially be able to Quick Ball for a Dedenne-GX, and we also just have that energy on Victini. So a very good turn. We're going to calm away the Heatran-GX. I think that's definitely smart. And I think maybe grabbing the Crobat, because we have another Quick Ball in hand. So maybe we Crobat, and then also have a chance to Victini in the same turn, which is going to be really, really good, right? We could Quick Ball away this boss, but we're just going to go ahead and Crobat for 4 cards. I think that's fairly reasonable for sure. Still no switching option, but what we can do is Quick Ball for a Dedenne if we wanted to Dedenne away the hand. Maybe we Stellar Wish before we do that. He actually Quick Balls away the Jirachi, which is interesting because now no longer able to kind of chain Jirachis, which isn't actually a very good strategy in the scenario anyway. Excuse me, guys. Okay, so he actually Quick Balls for another Victini V, and is kind of prioritizing setting up a second one already, which I kind of like. I mean, I think you really want to get ahead of the game and set up your Victinis as early as possible, because those are going to be the main ways that we take big KOs here in this game. Now again, all we need is a way to switch in. He's actually opting to attach the energy to Jirachi to guarantee him to be able to switch out, which I actually think is really, really smart. No reason to roll the dice there on a Stellar Wish and draw into a switch card. So he's going to go ahead and just attach to Jirachi. Maybe he'll retreat, discard that fire energy, but he is KOing an E-turn V with the energies onto it. So we're going to see that, now Symphogear takes his first 2 prize cards, which is a really big deal in this matchup. It really is. And Avarin Jr. here, he is evolving into the E-turn VMAX, and most likely will be able to attach an energy to it, and Yveltal has free retreat, so he's going to be able to switch into that. Almost extremely unlikely for this E-turn VMAX to one-hit KO this Victini, which is actually fine, because you have another Victini V on the board, you have a VMAX in hand, you even have a Welder for 2. So, realistically, unless we see some hand disruption from Avarin Jr., Koichi's in a really good spot. He really is. These hammers could be a little bit annoying. But again, with Welder in hand, the hammers kind of mean much less because we have that extra energy acceleration. So, if you're Koichi, you kind of are just wanting... I believe Koichi has 3 bosses orders in his deck and not 4. And this is kind of important because Koichi, what he could do is just go for that bosses orders route and KO a couple 2-prize Pokemon. We do see the Marnie come out, though. And that Marnie is going to be extremely important because Koichi had almost everything he needed in his hand. So, again, Marnie, man, it's just one of those cards for sure. Let's see what he draws into. He draws into a Giant Hearth, which is good at Pokémon, and a Dedenne-GX. So almost exactly kind of what he wanted anyway. He's going to be able to find the VMAX. He's going to be able to put down Giant Hearth for energies, and he's going to be able to Dedenne for more prize cards. We see this E-turn is only hitting for 210, but we do see the extra damage counter come out. So no matter what, and there's the energy. So no matter what, this Victini VMAX, he's going to be able to just hit into this E-turn for 220, which is going to set up a KO next turn. But the prize race is a little bit awkward. So I think that if you're Koichi, your best bet here is going to be able to find one of your 3 bosses orders, which are still in your deck. I still think that that's probably going to be his best bet. He grabs the Victini VMAX, definitely going to be good because that is what we're going to be using to take KOs. So, we're definitely going to want to set that up here. And Jirachi here, he's just going to draw 6 cards, and I think that if he draws boss here, and he does, that puts him at a distinct advantage for sure. And I think that boss's orders here, taking 2 prize cards, setting yourself up for game next turn, all you need is boss, is going to be extremely, extremely good, because we also have a lot of switching outs in our deck as well. Electing, do I put the Air Balloon on one of these guys here? Yeah, it's an interesting situation. He puts it on the Victini, which I like. We're going to go ahead and see the max victory here. Doing 220 damage, the perfect KO on this E-turn V, taking another 2 prize cards. And now, Koichi kind of at a very similar spot to what Avarin Jr. was last game, where all he needs is boss's orders, and that's going to be the game. This Victini VMAX is going to get KO'd this turn, but it's fine. We have one on our bench. We have an energy attached to it already. Crushing Hammers could be, pretty annoying for Koichi here if we do hit it on that bench Victini V, because then that forces him to have to Welder next turn. Which is going to be even better if you're Avarin Jr. because you know that Koichi is trying to boss his orders up a card next turn. So Crushing Hammers on that bench Victini could be phenomenal. It definitely could be good. We actually have the Eldegoss in hand, though, if you're Koichi. So no matter what, we're actually going to be able to, find boss or Welder. So, Koichi definitely in a good spot right now. He's just hoping things work out. Again, this hammer here going to be absolutely massive. What do we see? It's Tails. Wow. And that could be the difference there. The Power Plant not actually going to matter. It doesn't turn off Eldegoss V's abilities because it's a V Pokemon, not a GX. So, that's. I mean, he's got game in hand. He really does. So, we're going to see if Avarin Jr. can actually do something about that. But we'll see. We'll see. We're just going to see the switch potentially into that E-turn. Yeah, so he's just going to go in. Here's the Crobat, though, for 6 cards, but doesn't actually play any of them. So he's just going to attack into the Victini. And now, Koichi's going to be able to Eldegoss for boss, attach to the Victini VMAX, and that's going to be the game. So, kind of a really decisive victory for Koichi there, and really kind of shows how consistent his deck can be. And now, personally, I do feel like if you are going second, if you're in this position that Koichi was in, quick scoop up there. The Rapidash VMAX RB isn't actually that important in the matchup per se, because again, like I said, Victini VMAX is just, we have access to boss's orders. We're one-shotting most V Pokemon, if not all V Pokemon. So, we either going to go through 2 E-turn VMAXs, or if we get an early KO on a 2-prize Pokemon, a V Pokemon, then we could just go ahead and play for boss's orders for the rest of the game. So I think that those are 2 of the best strategies. But I do think that Rapidash has a lot of merit. And it could be very useful. So we'll see what he does here in the second game. Both players tied 1-1 going into Game 3, Chill Series 31. It's been a great night, and really happy to have these great competitors in finals. Again, Koichi with his second finals appearance in a row. Last time did take the L to Samo. So now he's definitely trying for that redemption, coming back with a completely new deck. So really awesome to see him kind of expanding his sort of capabilities and really kind of playing to win here with a completely new deck. We actually see Avarin Jr. go first, but he just puts down double Crobat and attaches to one, which is not a good start for him at all. If we see a really good start from Koichi this turn, that could really be the difference. Like, that could be the difference between, this game just not really working out for Avarin Jr. in the long run. Or, it could mean possibly that, or it could mean that this game is pretty much locked down for Koichi. So we actually see him Welder 2 into Rapidash, attached to 1 to Victini. The Giant Hearth comes into play here. And now, I don't know if you actually wanted to Dedenne and get rid of another Dedenne boss and Eldegoss. That does seem like it's a really kind of harsh thing to do. I think maybe you just wait for next turn. He actually just hearts the boss away anyway for the energy. But I don't think you Dedenne yet. I think you probably just are going to wait. He's going to look through his deck there, get an idea of what he still has. I think what you want to do is probably just wait for next turn, because you do have the distinct advantage already. And we're probably just going to go ahead and wait next turn so that we could Stellar Wish, potentially for another option. What we could see here is a really good play next turn where we can Eldegoss for boss and KO this Heatran V, which is going to be really good. And then we could attach and then Dedenne and potentially draw into a switching option and the Victini VMAX. So, it could be a really, really, really good turn for Koichi next turn. The research comes out. He's discarding Dangerous Drill and a Switch card. He actually puts 2 energies on this Crobat, so it's going to be able to KO the Jirachi, which is an interesting route, but it's actually relatively good because we are KOing that Jirachi. So I kind of like it. I actually do. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, that's 70 damage. I mean, you're taking a prize card. That could really be the difference. And yeah, I mean, if this Crobat V gets KO'd this turn, you're not in a very good spot. We see another Jirachi come down, just like immediately. And we see the Welder, so he's actually just going to elect to Welder 1 onto this Victini. You are drawing some extra cards as well, which is going to be good. And we can Dedenne as another out here to potentially find the Victini VMAX, or you just find it. So now all we need here is a Switch card, but we can actually bench that Jirachi. We can bench the second Victini, maybe, but we don't necessarily have to. But we're actually going to see him retreat into the Jirachi, which means now that he's going to be able to Stellar Wish and has a Scoop Up Net to go into the Victini VMAX. So this Crobat is absolutely toast this turn, and Koichi immediately off to a really good start. I mean, this is exactly what he wants, right? He wants to take the first KO on a 2-prize Pokemon. He's got his VMAX set up. Avarin Jr. doesn't even have an energy on an E-turn, so that's going to be a really big advantage. Of course, we do not have Eldegoss for boss anymore, and we do have 1 boss's orders in the discard pile, so we really only have 3 left, or 2 left in our deck, so it could be a little bit difficult to find those, but, taking 2 prize cards here, going to be absolutely phenomenal, and kind of leaving Avarin Jr. with no energies on his board, which is always a really big advantage. We see that second Rapidash V off the prize cards, and a Fire Energy. Never bad to find the Fire Energy, so... yeah, I mean, an immediate advantage early in the game for Koichi, and his deck kind of showing, why it made it this far into the tournament. I mean, Victini VMAX is a very, it's a very, what's the term, I guess? It's a very, it's got a cheap attack cost. Like, it's a very, I don't know, I can't think of the word, but, there's not a lot that goes into Victini VMAX using its attacks, which means that it's obviously a little bit more consistent than some other decks, which, might need more of a setup, right? And that's important for sure. We see an attachment to this active Victini V. This is good. It's got a retreat cost of 2, though, so the thing is, we need a Switch card, because what we want to do here is we want to KO this, or we want to get damage off onto this E-turn, right? But a boss's orders here would probably be the best thing in general. A Switch and a boss here could mean the difference. But the thing is, Avarin Jr. is almost forced to play down Pokemon, right? So the problem with E-turn in this matchup is that you can't just not bench a bunch of Pokemon and start attacking, because you don't actually do enough damage. We do see the boss's orders there. But unfortunately, Koichi actually can't even get an attack off this turn, because we just don't have a way to get out of the active spot, which is seeming to be kind of an issue for him in all of these games that we've seen. But, it shouldn't actually be that big of a deal. He is going to go ahead and just grab the VMAX, so no matter what, he's safe next turn. And Avarin Jr. still needs a lot, right? He needs to fill up his board with more Pokemon. And he also needs an energy and a way to switch out of the active spot with only a 3-card hand. Definitely doable for E-turn. I'm not saying it's not doable, but, you know, not in a terrible position still if you're Koichi. We have 2 Victini VMAXs set up with you know, 2 and 3 energies. So that's just going to make this entire matchup that much easier for him in the long run. We see the Pal Pad come out, so he grabs Boss and Research just to kind of bolster some more consistency into his deck. Always good to have those 2 supporters in your deck for sure. We see 1 Boss come out, which means he might be stalling here with this Boss. Yeah, he brings up the Crobat. Which means that, you know, he just top decks the Switch anyway. So it means that his hand was actually kind of dead. You kind of hate to see it. You really do. You know, when E-turn starts kind of bricking and just drawing off the top deck, it's never too good because there's just not a lot going on, right? There's just not a lot that you can really do if you're Avarin Jr. here. He actually elects to attach that energy to the Rapidash, and this is actually a good play in my opinion. What he's going to do, because he has Boss's orders at hand, he's going to go ahead and put 240 damage counters onto that bench E-turn V. And now, you know, he has the access to retreat out, boss up that E-turn VMAX with the energy, and puts a lot of pressure on Avarin Jr. because, you know, now he kind of has to probably start committing energy to the active E-turn. But if he does that, Koichi can go ahead and do the same thing that he just did last turn. So a very, very good play. And this is, again, where we see that the Rapidash V, the Galarian Rapidash V, has such a good attack. And a really interesting use in this matchup for sure. I mean, being able to put 240 damage counters onto a benched Pokemon is absolutely ridiculous. And could definitely be the difference here. Could definitely be the difference. Got a retreat cost of 1 as well, so it's really good. It really is. Jeez Louise. Okay. Got a bunch of noise people are making outside. Anyway, though, we see 1 damage counter come down on this Victini. We see a quick ball come out from Avarin Jr. Again, he's just kind of playing through his deck. He's going to go ahead and do what he thinks that he obviously needs to do to have a chance in this game, but it's not looking too great for him. Koichi's board state is so much more advanced than his, and on top of that, he actually just overall has you know, more prize cards. He has more prize cards taken as well, so definitely ahead in this game right now. But I think if you're Koichi, this turn you might probably want to force the boss, all right? So maybe we just go into Victini next turn, and we just hit the active. We have a boss, so what we can do... Oh, he actually just decides to Libra Horn the active, kind of saying, like, hey, I'm going to let you take these 2 prize cards next turn, maybe. But either way, you know, I'm setting up for some KOs. This Crushing Hammers shouldn't really matter. It's Tails anyway, so it definitely didn't matter, but... you know, the fact that 2 of these Victinis are set up kind of means that it doesn't matter too much. We see the Marty come out, so putting that boss on the bottom of the deck, as well as the Dedenne, is going to be a little bit annoying for Koichi, but shouldn't be that big of a deal. We actually have a Welder, Air Balloon, all decent things here. The problem is, you know, you have to stay in with this E-turn, because it's, you know, you have to get damage off. So, you know, the thing here is Avarin Jr., yeah, he's taking 2 prize cards here. He only needs 3 left, but it's almost impossible for him to one-shot this Victini. You know, Koichi's going to go ahead and take 3 prize cards here anyway, so definitely a kind of a tricky situation, I think. Excuse me, sorry. We attach the energy to the active and the benched Victini, so just loading up on energy is kind of making them a little bit hammer-proof in the long run. And we're going to see the Max Victor come out. We're going to take 3 prize cards, and now all we need next turn, pretty much. Well, actually, I mean, Koichi just one-shots everything, or KOs everything right now that Avarin Jr. even has on his board. So I think the only thing that can survive from an attack from this Victini is going to be Yveltal. And since we don't have one of those on the board, well, we do now. And now we just need a way to switch into it pretty much. So, I mean, that's, again, the only card, right, that he can leave in the active without getting KO'd. But even if he does that, I mean, I don't know, because it's going to be another turn or 2 before he's able to KO a Victini, right? So definitely a tough situation if you're Avarin Jr. Koichi played this game phenomenally. I think he definitely has the advantage state right now. And it's going to be definitely a really tricky situation for Avarin Jr. potentially to get out of. We do find the switch, so he's going to be able to switch into this Yveltal, and I guess just be safe for the turn being. He's going to Crobat for another 5 cards. We see the Crushing Hammers come out, but again, because we attach extra energies to this Victinis, on past turns, this hammer actually does nothing, unless we see a second hammer. We could see a second hammer. Also, Eldegoss is on Koichi's board, right? So we need a boss's orders to win next turn. I don't know. He's got 25 cards in deck. I believe he has 2 boss's orders left. So it's just a matter of finding it, although we do have a switch card, we do have a Scoop Up Net, and we do have an Air Balloon. So plenty of different ways to shuffle through these multiple Jirachis that we have in our hand. So it's going to be really easy, along with that Dedenne that we actually have, to actually find this boss's order. So here comes the first Stellar Wish. It's not in there, but we find the Scoop Up Net, which is just going to be able to extend the combo further. And this is where the Jirachi engine really comes in handy, really kind of shines through, because when you're looking for one particular card, you might not find it when you Stellar Wish, but what you do find are cards that extend your capabilities of Stellar Wishing multiple times in a row. So, if you Stellar Wish 4 or 5 times or 3-4 times, the likelihood of you finding, that one particular type of card in your 20 card deck is extremely, extremely high. And that's what we're going to go ahead and do here. He's going to scoop up the active, go into this Jirachi. We have another Scoop Up Net and another Switch in hand as well. And here comes the second Stellar Wish. He's going to look through, and there it is. There's Boss's Orders. That's going to be the game. And big shout out to Koichi. I mean, a phenomenal deck, a really, really cool deck. A phenomenal player. I mean, not many people have made it to Chill Series 2 weeks in a row, let alone one Chill Series on that second week. So congratulations to Koichi. Fantastic player. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for playing, everybody. 308 players. Just another great Chill Series week. Shout out to PTCGO Zone for sponsoring the tournament, for sponsoring myself and our community. Definitely go check them out. Link to both of their deck lists will be down in the description below. I know you guys are interested in Koichi's Rapidash Victini list, so I'll go ahead and show you guys that list down in the description below. You guys can go import it and definitely go check it out. All right, guys, I've been Maddie from Chill TCG. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys later.